Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Metroid Fusion, or Metroid 4, for the Game Boy Advance. So, last time, we have essentially managed able to continue exploring through Sector 4, and also we did somehow explore through Sector 3, to able to actually come across into ourselves this very weird security robot by the forms of BOX, and on top of that, we did somehow manage able to get ourselves the super missiles, and on top of all that stuff though, we did also manage able to experience Sector 6. And on top of that, we also managed able to finally get ourselves our Varia Suit. So as a result, hopefully it won't be too bad, all things considered, although we still need able to be cautious about the forms of certain enemy encounters as far as this is concerned. So today, for this video is about the fact that we're about to be continuing exploring through Sector 6, and hopefully eventually we'll be able to actually come across into the next sector as well. Because I think, relatively speaking, that we've almost explored through every single sector throughout the majority of Metroid Fusion at this point, but either way though, chances are I'll explain more details about that as soon as we're able to get this video going, especially about, no matter what though, tomorrow's the day where the fact that the exciting thing is about to happen, and during at some point until tomorrow, yes, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is releasing tomorrow. So either way though, still excited for it, and I'm sure most people are already excited about this as well, especially noticeable concerning about the fact that I believe, I'm not exactly sure what the reviews are going to be, but I'm sure I'll let Sonic be able to mention more about it until when he goes back onto Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, for specifically during the forms of this particular weekend, because as far as I'm aware, for what I've heard anyway, he's actually feeling a lot better now, so hopefully he'll be back for more on the forms of that particular game as a matter of fact. So anywho, but that's not to say about the fact that we're going to be talking about that, because relatively speaking, there are quite a few discussions I'd like to point things out, although we'll explain more details about that in a moment, because as you can see, that what is up with the forms of those blue X-parasites, they just keep running away from me all of a sudden. Well, that's because if you do manage to able to obtain the blue X-parasites, as you can tell, it actually restores your health, because that way we now finally got ourselves the Varia Suit. So that means, as I said before, we're now being protected by the forms of extreme temperatures. Mainly, for instance, with like blue, you know, X-parasites representing the forms of some cold, and on top of that, eventually we'll come across into a sector where it involves around hot temperatures. So either way, chances are though, you probably already know about this, especially concerning if you ever played the previous Metroid games before, so everything else will be pretty much accounted for. And on top of all that stuff though, the actual color scheme, when you're able to actually have ourselves the Varia Suit, it almost comes close to the forms of that color scheme representing the forms at the beginning portion of Super Metroid almost. I don't know about you, but I'm guessing it's probably because about the fact that, well, despite it's been a very long while since I actually have last experienced this game. It's been about 2 days ago since I actually last played this for sure, but I think exponentially though is about the fact that we might able to actually get ourselves a new tour coming up during the forms of Mario Kart Tour, as we expected. And as a result of that kind of stuff though, I'm curious to know what the next tours are going to be next. So, well, there was a bit of unfortunate news. Well, despite it did say rumor or leaks, which, trust me, I'm probably able to ignore those for the time being. That is about the fact that it looks like about the fact that I don't think there won't be any Nintendo Directs in this coming June, similar to the forms of how it does it in last year, despite the fact that in last year, that we get ourselves Partner Showcase, and as a result, I get the horrible feeling it might actually do the exact same treatment for this year though, but time will tell, especially because, again, I don't trust rumors and leaks anymore, just because, oh god, I honestly totally forgot about the forms of that fake out, missile tank. Oh jeez, I did not expect that. So yeah, there are a couple of times though that you come across into certain fake missile tanks from here, but if you use the Morph Ball bomb right there, there's the real one onto over there. I apologize for that particular tongue twist in the end, folks, but that's just because about the fact that, well, again, it's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last played this, and also I'm very excited about the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's almost releasing tomorrow, and exponentially I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure that most people already know about this at this point, especially, you know, It's been 6 years since the Breath of the Wild game came out on the phones of 2017. So either way, because chances are, since before Tears of the Kingdom is going to be releasing, well, aside from a couple of releases left, for the sake of the phones of the Nintendo Switch's lifespan so far, which are Sonic Origins Plus for its physical form and digital DLC, as well as from that, there is also Pikmin 4, which afterwards though, well, again, despite it's a bit bare bones during the forms of the second half, in terms of the forms of 2023 aside from 1, but either way though, hopefully we'll get some more announcements during that time, specifically towards the very end of 2023 for sure. Well, mind you, we're still in the middle portion of 2023 after all. Well, generally speaking though, the 5th month of the year, as far as what I meant to say. So either way, so I think that basically takes care of Sector 6 from now on, although, yeah, again, we'll be back for that until whenever we learn certain new abilities and all that stuff, and even some familiar abilities as far as this is concerned. So either way, so yeah, let's talk about the forms of power fact that, well, as you can tell, that we've now got ourselves the Varia Suit. So at this rate in time, it's about the fact that I think we're most able to actually go ahead and actually access to the next sector. So either way though, or generally speaking, the last sector in the game. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, hopefully we'll come across into that. So anywho, a few things we want to explain, and that is that, well, in my spare own time, I finally managed able to got myself another playable character, and this time what appears to be buddy forms of Jet the Hawk, based off from Sonic Rider series, and as a result, my god, is a very long process when it comes to likely getting Jet the Hawk, because as far as I'm aware, in order to get him though, is that you have to complete the entire Mushroom Hill set piece, like, you know, with all its constructive parts. So either way though, and let me tell you, it can take a very long time to do so, especially concerning about the fact that you have to get a lot of gems in order able to actually build up some construction parts here and there. Well, it doesn't really matter what leveling system you're gonna have to put up with, but either way though, that'll be a discussion in a later day. So either way, so now let's go ahead and go on to the last sector in the game, and that's what appears to be Sector 5. And something tells me it's gonna be ARC. I wonder what that's gonna stand for. But either way though, I think something tells me, I think we're most able to approach into that sector where everything is gonna be frozen, and as far as I'm aware, it might be a combination of the forms of somewhat of an icicle environment and potentially lava environment or something related to that. So, but either way though, I'm very curious to see what this sector is going to bring us into. So either way, once again, we do need able to actually access to the download room, or the data room as far as what I meant to say. So either way though, and also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that potentially speaking, that when it comes to the Super Mario Bros. Movie right now, but basically it's actually now on to the top 5 in terms of the best box office ownings. Well, to be more specifically, the highest grossing animated films right now. So as a result, it did somehow manage to beat, you know, Toy Story 3 and 4. And on top of that, it also beats Minions. So as a result, it now becomes one of the best Illumination box office owning films of all time. So that would be fantastic, all things considered. Especially because, you know, Mario is the most iconic video game character of all time. Especially concerning about the fact that he's more likely considerably the Mr. Video Game or anything else like that. So, actually kind of think about it, I don't think there's any like frozen parts here and there, like somewhat of an icicle structure just yet though, but I think something tells me that later on that we will come across into that. So, anyways though, so let's just go ahead and destroy all sorts of enemies once again, so just in case we can able to regenerate our health thanks to false that yellow X parasites. So, either way, and occasional green ones for restoring our... there we go. Now onto the forms of the actual frozen area. So either way, kind of thinking about it, this particular segment right there almost kind of reminds me of something related to Wario Land 4 almost. Well, despite the fact that Wario Land 4 did came out a year after this game did. So either way though. Now, I suppose I forgot to mention about this during the films at the beginning portion of the game, that basically, as far as the storytelling goes when it comes to this game in particular, I'm pretty sure this game takes place immediately after the events of Metroid Other M and before Metroid Dread. At least as far as I've heard about it anyway. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly looked upon the films of the story timeline for some time, especially because concerning about the fact that Sonic has already mentioned about during the films that particular timeline goes ever since in Super Metroid Let's Play, so either way, yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. So I think something tells me I do need to learn the Shine Spark, so just in case I can able to dash through that particular floor, so that way I can easily manage able to go a bit lower, and maybe potentially I can able to actually try to able to find, I would classify for saying the next door hatch activated. So either way though, but that won't be for a while, because potentially speaking we need to able to bypass these guys, and yeah, sometimes I occasionally get hit, but that's okay, because you know, we still got a lot of health at this point. Well, nowhere near as much as the forms of Varia does it from any other points so far. So either way, let's go through here. And exponentially, we come across into a safe room from earlier. So either way, let's just go ahead and continue things on. Now, if you're probably wondering what some of these things are, by the way, well, I think we'll point it out until whatever we get to later on. So either way, I think this is the security room that we found. So that way, we can now able to actually activate the yellow hatch doors. So meaning that, you know, level 3 security switch has been activated or unlocked, to be more specifically. So either way, and it looks like we've only got one level hatch left, and that's what appears to be the red one. But the red one might come eventually later. So either way, yeah, because as far as I'm aware, all it needs to do now when it comes to the forms of the Super Mario Bros. Movie Best Animated Film box office department is that, well, I'm pretty sure about the fact that the only 4 films it needs left, which are Incredibles 2, Frozen, Frozen 2, and lastly, The Lion King Disappointing Remake. Now, the reason why I say disappointing remake is because, you know, it feels lacking, and on top of that, it's nowhere near as fun as the forms of how it does in the original classic. I gotta say that right now. But either way, at least it's still doing pretty well though, especially concerning about the fact that, well, I hardly doubt about the fact that I would have imagined that it will reach to about 2 billion or something. Well, again, I apologize for that tongue twist in the end, folks, there, because either way, though, I just got nothing else to say about this. Although, aside from the fact that, well, potentially speaking, that, as far as I'm concerned, that, basically, is about the fact that, well, there's actually that new update just came up. Well, in terms of the forms of the sales numbers, well, specifically for not only one game, but for a multitude of games as well. But I'll get to more those in a second, because we've now downloaded the Ice Missiles. I wonder why that's actually to be replaced by the forms of Ice Beam. I'm guessing it's most likely because the reason why we got Ice Missiles instead of the forms of Ice Beams is because I'm pretty sure because of how the fact that since we're on the DNA, and as a result of that kind of stuff though, that since we got affected by the forms of the X parasites and also because the forms of the vaccine cure, that means about the fact that, even though it's a bit tricky to explain, because I could assure you about the fact that it's been a very long while since I actually briefly mentioned about specific details like this. Although, exponentially speaking though, because of how the fact that the Metroids are usually feared or cold. So as a result though, the Ice Missiles plays pretty much exactly like the Ice Beams, except the fact that it costs, you know, missiles this time. So either way, and something tells me that Energy Tank is fake. So either way, and I think there's going to be a real one somewhere around here, because I can assure to you that's where essentially how that is. So either way, now I need to get out of here somehow, and we can able to continue proceedings. So, but yeah, I think that's as far as I can say about the forms of certain like good news to discuss. And what's even greater, well, despite it's not much, but recently about the fact that, oh, what do we have here? So it looks like for those particular hatches like these, like to be more specifically with those things that we've already come across into earlier, I think they now turn into like poles or just any other like pillar or I don't know what you call it. So I think what these can do, I'm pretty sure you use the ice missiles and able to actually just run and throws them, use them as platforms, and that way you can able to get back up at one point. Now I believe something tells me we do need able to, I will classify for saying trying to able to get rid of the enemy, and then I think something tells me we do need able to leave it for a bit. So in some cases, let me go ahead and get rid of this, this enemy up here, and as soon as we get rid of it, then do not obtain the X-Parasite, because otherwise if you accidentally obtain the X-Parasite, basically the thing itself will reset. So, or potentially speaking, you have to able to go to the other room and then reset it for your progress, as far as I'm concerned. And that is why we use the Shine Spark onto that segment. So, anywho, but sometimes it can be felt a bit puzzling at points, especially because concerning if you don't know what to do, then obviously about the fact I highly recommend you're able to look up on something just to ensure that you might get lost track of yourself. So, anyway, so that pretty much does it from there. So, yeah, let's talk about the forms of the actual game sales records for the sake of time, as the forms are since about 2 days ago, which I supposedly managed able to forgot to mention about it, ever since enjoying the forms have been on Tuesday, surprisingly enough. Excuse me. And no matter what though, I think they did added in not 1, but 3 brand new Nintendo Switch stuff during the forms of that particular sales records as far as I'm usually concerned with. Well, first of all, before we get into that though, is that recently the Nintendo Switch has been sold for about 125.62 million units sold, even though despite not much in comparison to the forms of by the end of last year, because of the forms of how the factor with all that Pokemon related and all that stuff. But as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's actually on a small numbers as far as increase in sales numbers as far as I'm concerned. Well, hopefully it will start to increase eventually though, but it's kind of hard to tell honestly, because I know for a fact that we're still on May still, and on top of that, well, aside from the fact that exponentially, I highly doubt that most any other people out there were expected to able to actually get even more sales for the Nintendo Switch and stuff like that, but either way, that'll be a discussion in a later day. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and get rid of this enemy here and make sure don't attain the X-Parasite, because otherwise, if you do, then you have to restart this process again. So, and because of this, something tells me there is something up there. So we'll just get rid of that enemy, and hopefully we would come across into that familiar enemy based off on the past games. So, and I think it's gonna be somewhere up here. Oh, there it is. So that way we get ourselves another missile tank. So, either way, we're actually getting quite close, all things considered, when it comes to proceedings to the forms of that missile tanks. And I'm pretty sure that we've almost done with the forms of the missile tanks grinding. Especially concerning about the fact that, again, it's super duper easy to able to actually obtain, you know, not only for the sake of the forms of certain missile tanks, but also with the forms of energy tanks as well. But there's going to be another tank eventually, but then again, though, we will come across into that once we're able to continue proceeding for this. So, but not now anyway, though, because we still have to explore for Sector 5. So, anyway, so we have to do exactly the same formation as we did from earlier. So, anywho, so yeah, let's talk about the forms of the sales numbers as far as the updates are concerned. In terms of Switch software totals, it's now on to I would say I don't know, it's been a very long while since I actually managed able to mention something like this, but either way, yeah, in terms of software as far as I'm concerned, nothing changed, aside from the fact that out of nowhere, although I'll get to more details about that in a moment. In terms of, you know, the best-selling Nintendo Switch game of all time, it's still Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just because of the forms of not only for its exhilarating gameplay, but it's also now they received DLC, as you probably already know, especially concerning about the fact that we still got 2 more waves left until the actual DLC thing is about to be finished. So either way though, because chances are, that's as far as I can usually think about it. And on top of that, in terms of second place, we still got ourselves Animal Crossing New Horizons. Although, exponentially speaking, when it comes to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's now on 53.79 million copies sold, which is actually pretty good. And in terms of Animal Crossing New Horizons, it's now on 42.21 million copies sold. And as far as third place is concerned, it's still Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it's on 31.09 million copies sold, which is actually pretty substantial, and especially concerning about the fact that it still is one of my favorite Smash Bros. Games of all time still, especially because, you know, everyone is here after all. And, in terms of fourth place, it was actually still The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Get it because about the fact that Tears of the Kingdom is almost approaching to its release, and, it's actually now on to 29.81 million copies sold, so it's doing really well. And fifth place still goes to Pokemon Sword/Shield, which at this point they're now on 25.82 million copies sold. And it's actually kind of a close call between not only Pokemon Sword and Shield, but also with Super Mario Odyssey as well. And speaking of Super Mario Odyssey, it was still on 6th place as far as I'm concerned. Like, at this point in time, it's actually now on to 25.76 million copies sold. So it's like, I don't know about you, it's actually quite close between the two when it comes to both 5th and 6th place position, when it comes to the forms of the Switch sales numbers. So, at least in terms of software as far as this is concerned. So, either way, in addition to that, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has been now on to 22.10 million copies sold, so that's alright. And when it comes to Super Mario Party, well, it's actually now on to 19.14 million copies sold. And out of nowhere, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is still continuing trying to do pretty well in terms of sales records, surprisingly. And that's because of this though. Oh, what in the heck is going on back there? Especially concerning about the fact that I have no idea what's up with this very weird monstrosity thing that we actually gonna come across into, I wonder. Well, we'll never know until whenever we find out until eventually, because for now, let me go ahead and climb up and... oh, dang it. Okay, there we go. And exponentially, if we go up here, basically we come across into ourselves, what else? Another missile tank. But I think something tells me we need to freeze that enemy right there, so just in case we'll act out as platforms, and there we go. I actually kind of thinking about it, there's no hazards around here, so what's the point of able to actually having that particular enemy to begin with? I mean, I have no words to think about it. So anyways, let's go through here, and I think something tells me something will happen if we go in here. And we got ourselves an emergency sequences, so as a result, I wonder what's going on at this point. So either way, so I think something tells me we need to be able to hit back at one point, and hopefully we'll try to able to investigate. So, anyway, so... yeah, I can't believe that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is still carry on doing the forms of, you know, the sales numbers right now. And in terms of the forms of how much copies it sold, it's actually now on to 15.41 million copies sold, which is insane. And on top of that, it's actually now beaten, well, as far as I'm aware, that Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee is no longer on the forms of the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch games at this point. But I'm pretty sure because of how the fact that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is now taking over for one of those spots in particular. So either way though, it seems kind of strange if you ask me. And on top of all that stuff though, when it comes to Ring Fit Adventure, he's actually on 15.38 million copies sold. And in terms of anything else though, Pokemon Legends Arceus is now on 14.83 million copies sold. And in terms of Luigi's Mansion 3, it's actually now on 12.82 million copies sold. Oh jeez, we got ourselves a time limit right there. Because I think something tells me we need to head back into the vaults of one of those previous sectors. And I believe something tells me we must able to actually go into the vaults of, what should I put it, like Sector 3 right here? Because I think something tells me there must be something going on in that particular main boiler segment. So either way, back to Sector 3 as we go. So either way, let's go and try to sort this problem out. Although there's no point for able to actually activate the forms of not only the navigation room, although we can still able to use the recharge room, but either way, let's not worry about that right now. And it's also worth noting for, every time whenever we do manage to activate something like, you know, something time limit related, basically we can't able to save unless if we deactivate the time limit. So, and we have to be fast though, because I think something tells me if the time runs out, it's instant game over. So we just have to be fast, especially concerning about the fact that, you know what Sonic says, gotta go fast. And something tells me I still need to able to do a Shine Spark or the Speed Booster to able to break those certain blocks from down here. So let me just go ahead and backtrack for a bit and make a run for it, and exponentially we can now able to progress. So yeah, in terms of the forms of everything else, in terms of the forms of Nintendo Switch sales numbers, as far as this is concerned, I'm pretty certain that, actually I can't think about it right now, because I know for a fact it's been about a couple of months ago since I actually have last mentioning about the forms of the actual Nintendo Switch sales numbers, but thankfully here we are now for able to mention about that. So there's another missile tank, just in case if you don't want to miss it. So, anyhow, in terms of everything else though, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is now on 11.38 million copies sold, which is actually pretty good. And on top of that, Splatoon 3 is now on 10.67 million copies sold, so that's actually pretty good. And in terms of Mario Party Superstars, it's now on to 10 million copies, specifically 10.17 million copies sold. So I'm very appreciative about the fact that with both of those Mario Party games to be released on the Nintendo Switch, they're both doing really well, especially it's certainly a lot more better than the forms of the last two Nintendo 3DS installments of Mario Party, which are Star Rush and the Top 100. Although don't get me wrong, I don't mind those games, but they sold so poorly, so as a result, yeah, I can appreciate about that. I'm not exactly sure if they're gonna do the last Mario Party game on the Switch before they moved on to the next generation of consoles, but we shall see what happens in due time, mainly in 2024 or anything else like that, so it's hard to tell for this point honestly. So either way, so I think we've almost nearly at the forms of that boiler section as far as this is concerned. And of course keep that in mind though, since we now moved on to a lava segment right there, and as it turns out about the fact that we've now made it to the main boiler. So either way, I think something tells me something fishy is going on around here, especially concerning about the fact that, well, exponentially speaking, I just have no idea what the heck is going on with this. So anywho, so let's just go ahead and go through here, and let's see who actually causes all this. So either way, we've now made ourselves with the main boiler control room, and we can pretty much... Oh, I did not notice this guy can hurt me. And something tells me we come across into that particular, I would say, Core X as far as I'm concerned. Well, mind you, it's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last played this, as you probably already know. So of course, just like before, we need to able to use the missiles to able to deal the amount of damage, and once you've done so, we've now actually access to the wide beam. I wonder what that's going to be all about, huh? So either way though, that way we can now able to actually shoot about 3 rings, which I'm pretty sure it's kind of similar to Spacer Beam from the likes of the forms of how it does it on in Super Metroid or something. Well, mind you about the fact that, well, it's been a very long while. So either way, now we've actually activated the forms of that particular thing as you saw, so that means we don't have to worry about the forms of certain parts anymore. So either way, now we can able to get back on track at this point, even though, mind you, we still got a whole ways to go at this point. So either way, I don't think there's anything else up here though, so I think we should probably go ahead and continue things on here. So either way, so let's just go ahead and continue things on for this point. So either way though, that's as far as I can usually think about it. So anyway though, in terms of everything else though, when it comes to Switch game sales numbers, basically Nintendo Switch Sports is now on 9.60 million copies sold. And as far as I'm aware, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is now on 6.46 million copies sold. It's still doing very, very well when it comes to the forms of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. In this case, one of the greatest Kirby games ever made. Especially, you know, it's in 3D for the first time. Now, in terms of other stuff worth noting for, like Mario Strikers Battle League Football, it's actually gone pretty slowly when it comes to its Switch sales numbers. That's what it appears to be on 2.54 million copies sold. So it's sold quite decently, but it's nowhere near as like extremely successful, like, sales records compared to the forms of, let's just say, Mario Strikers Charge Football or something. Well, that's just because about the fact that the stupid free update system just ruins the entire experience. And, on top of that, the bare bones content that you get when you start the game off. And, as far as I'm aware, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is actually now on 1.86 million copies sold, and exponentially because the forms of DLC is now a thing, so that probably explains it. And in terms of Bayonetta 3, is actually on 1.07 million copies sold so far, so I was expecting to see something more with the actual sales numbers, but oh well, beggar sales can't be choosers, I guess. Now, in terms of 3 new games is actually included onto the forms of the Switch sales numbers, and those are Fire Emblem Engage, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and finally, Metroid Prime Remastered. And originally, I was originally trying to say about the forms of Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, but that'll be for a later day. To be more specifically, when it gets to, like, I don't know, in August sometime, or potentially speaking of, I think it's sometime in August they're able to do the next financial results for the actual Nintendo Switch sales numbers as far as not only software, but also with the forms of the console units as far as this is concerned. So, anywho though, yeah, in terms of the white beam, it now shoots rings instead of the forms of those little weird laser stuff, as opposed to the forms of Spacer Beam. That, as far as I'm aware, in Spacer Beam, that it shoots like 3 lines instead of the forms of 3 rings, unlike White Beam. So, but they pretty much act out pretty similar for that regard. And oh boy, we have to able to go across for those platforms, aren't we? Even with those crumbling platforms on top of that as well, to not only trying to able to get ourselves the another missile tank, but also with the forms of, I think something tells me, might actually be some energy tank around here somewhere. At least if I was assuming so anyway. So, anywho, yeah, when it comes to the, Fire Emblem Engage, is actually now on 1.61 million copies sold. So it's actually going quite well. And on top of that, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is actually currently on to 1.6... No, what do I keep saying 60 for some reason? 1.46 million copies sold. So it's actually doing very, very well for a remake of the Wii game. So yeah, it's actually quite impressive. Especially concerning about the fact that I don't know how I don't know, it's quite hard to say honestly. So either way, but hey, at least on the upside, we did somehow manage to got both the missile tank and especially noticeable with that energy tank as well. So kudos to my awesome skills thanks to the forms of the ice missiles as far as I did somehow use. So, anywho, and finally, in terms of the forms of Metroid Prime Remastered, is actually on 1.09 million copies sold. So, at least it did pretty well though, especially concerning that everyone else has been hyped about it ever since when it first revealed out of nowhere from the likes of the forms of the February Nintendo Direct. So I will say it is a really, really good starting point in 2023. Although again, it's a bit bare bones at the moment for the second half of 2023 aside from Pikmin 4. But beggar sales can't be choosers, I guess, especially concerning about the fact that, well, again, we're still in the first half of 2023 so far. So, but then again though, time will tell, especially that we have to wait for a little bit slightly longer, especially concerning with all these things itself in mind. So, oh, and speaking of which though, is about the fact that I think, speaking of something related to, I don't know, Sonic related, that basically is that I'm pretty sure that Sonic Frontiers did somehow break new record for 3D game sales with 3.5 million copies sold. So, I'm thinking that's what it says anyway? Well, despite the fact that it's been quite some time since I actually have last played Sonic Frontiers, because, you know, still hyped about the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom coming up until tomorrow, but then again, no, I'm not exactly sure what the reviews are going to turn out just yet. Especially, again, no spoilers please, because obviously I haven't experienced the game just yet. So, anyway, there's another missile tank right over there, so in case if you missed it. And something tells me there must be something in here too. Like, for instance, there is actually, Oh, it's just nothing. Oh, wait a second. I think I need to learn the super speed booster right there and use the Shine Spark at the top here. So just in case we can able to go ahead and... Oh, there's an energy tank up there. But I was going to use the sequence breaking with that wall jump thingy right there, but it might be impossible because as far as I'm aware, it just goes like a very strange direction. So I think something tells me there might be a pretty well hidden pole around here somewhere. Because, again, you need to able to actually activate the Morph Ball bomb until you're able to actually find one of those silver pole stuff as far as finding is, as far as I'm concerned. So, either way, I think, if I'm assuming correctly, despite we can't wall jump up there, so either way, I think it's going to be in here. Yep, it is. So, either way, that way, I can able to actually get myself the energy tank right up there. So, pretty easy picking. So, either way, though, and I think that's all there is to it. Well, I think so anyway, because either way though, we've already done it in this particular room, so I suppose we can able to actually head back and do some more stuff here and there. So, I'm pretty sure about the fact that, well, exponentially speaking, that I think I'm pretty much at the halfway point in terms of these energy tanks storages as far as I'm concerned. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly paid attention to the forms of the top left corner of the screen, because obviously I was focusing on some very tricky tasks here and there. So, anywho, and I suppose there was the last thing I wanted to mention though, is about the fact that I think, relatively speaking, one of those films in particular called Creed 3 basically is about the fact that I believe that film does confirm its release date for DVD and Blu-ray. That's going to be releasing it during at some point on the 22nd of May, so yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. So either way, and let's go ahead and go back onto the forms of the navigation room to see what's going to be our next objective is it going to be, after we did somehow manage able to fix the actual boiler room. So either way though, I wonder what sector are we going to go back into next, or potentially speaking though about the fact that I'm pretty certain that we can now able to actually just realize that, well, again, I'll point things out whenever we do manage to able to come across into something. So either way, now I believe something tells me that I guess we are now heading back towards the forms of the actual main elevator or something. Well, mind you, it's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last played this, you know. So, anywho, and as far as any other discussions I would like to point things out, I think that's as far as I can say about it, because I'm pretty sure I've mentioned about the forms, the you know, the Switch sales numbers at this point, and pretty much everything for the doubt. But either way, yeah, I'm also able to head back into Sector 5 at this moment in time, especially because now that we've actually activated the forms of certain door hatches as far as this is concerned. And, yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. Yeah, I don't think there's any point we can able to use that or anything, because I just want to make sure I was gonna double check on something, just in case if I missed something, so... But either way, I suppose what I was able to say this right now is that we're also able to end things off at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Metroid Fusion, and that is about the fact that we're going to be heading back onto the forms of, well, wait for it. Well, we can now go back onto the main elevator and just see what's up next for this point. So yeah, I'll see you guys at some point on next Tuesday. Later, fellas.